Hello everyone, tēnā koutou, and welcome to this video about the full moon in Sagittarius that's coming up this weekend. My name is Fiona of Sun and Moon Calendar.nz, and this video is about the astrology and a little bit of astronomy from the point of view of New Zealand or Aotearoa or Ngāti. First of all, I want to apologize for the look of the video being a little bit washed out. It's hard to find daylight hours to record at this time of year and haven't quite got the lighting sorted for that. Anyway, let's get on with it. Let's find out what's going on with the energies and the feelings of this full moon that's coming up. At the time of the full moon, the sun will be in the sky, the moon will be on the other side of the earth, so we won't see it then, but later in the evening it will rise, and if we've got clear skies, we'll see it bright and beautiful. And it is a holiday on Monday. Hopefully you're on holiday on Monday. It's a public holiday for King's birthday. I reckon we can stay up late and celebrate the full moon that night. Let's now look at the dawn. The stars that show themselves in the dawn that are rising just before the sun, before sunrise, are important markers for Māori astronomy and for showing the time of the year that we're at. So let's look at what we've got going on. Before sunrise at the moment, there are two planets that are visible, and they are Jupiter, which is quite bright. It will be easy to see. Mercury will be harder to see, and conjunct Mercury the day after or around about the time of the full moon is Uranus. So you won't be able to see that without a telescope, but know that it is there. In terms of the stars which are fixed in the sky, rather than the planets which move around, we have got the two stars of Piperi very visible, and we're in the month of Piperi, and that is Sheraton and Hamal in the English names of those stars. And over to the right from those stars, further to the east, we have a very important marker for the new year, the new Māori year, and that is Puanga or Rigel, and that is just showing up. We won't be able to see the rest of the constellation of Orion because Puanga is at the top of the constellation of Orion. So later on in the month we are going to see Matariki rising, Orion's belt, toru, rising, and Takurua, Sirius, which is the winter star, and that is very visible in the evenings but not yet visible in the mornings. It will be later though. There is the full moon laid out on the zodiac wheel, and this shows that the full moon and the sun opposite each other in the sky will be at 13 degrees and 18 minutes of Sagittarius, so right in the middle of the Sagittarius segment of the sky. The energy of Sagittarius, so let's look at that. The ruling planet of Sagittarius is Jupiter, very big, very expansive, and like you just saw before, visible in the morning sky at the moment. Ruled by Jupiter means that Sagittarius is an expansive sign. It's a sign that is optimistic, confident, and adventurous. There's a concern with spirituality, justice, and morality, a focus on belief systems with that Jupiter energy with Sagittarius. The element of Sagittarius is fire. So Sagittarius is sparky and adventurous. It likes to take initiative. It'll go off and do things all of a sudden. It is enthusiastic. And the modality of Sagittarius is mutable. Sagittarius loves to explore, and I've chosen the Kaimanawa horses. So we've got a band of wild horses that live in the Kaimanawa ranges, and they get the chance to range over that land. I think it's fantastic, and I think they represent Sagittarius well because they have this adventurous spirit and an independent spirit, and also I think there's some spiritual aspect with horses. Sagittarius has a spirituality, is concerned with belief systems and higher learning and a search for meaning. So that's part of that mutable exploring energy of Sagittarius. Think about where you have this exploratory and adventurous spirit, even a spontaneous energy in your own life. Even if you're a very stable and steady person, you will have Sagittarius somewhere in your chart, and this might play out in your career area, in your romantic area, your one-to-one relationships. It might play out with your children or in your daily work. You know, some people cannot handle doing the same thing every day for year in, year out. Oh my goodness. That's not good for them. It's good for some people. Maybe that's where you've got Sagittarius, but everybody has it somewhere. So everybody has that adventurous spirit in them. Think about the parts of you that you have inside that love to be wild, to be free, to explore. And there's that quest for meaning, trying to figure out the world, having a system of beliefs that helps you understand where you are in the world, your purpose in the world, what is right, what is just, and what is good. You see that hoiho there, that horse looking off into the distance. That is part of the energy of Sagittarius, looking off to distant horizons, wondering what's over there and wondering if it will help you understand the meaning of your life here. So Sagittarius often has an interest in other cultures and an attraction to traveling. There's a big travel element with the adventurous spirit of Sagittarius and the quest for meaning. At the time of the full moon, perhaps over that weekend, the long weekend, take a moment to step back and review how your last month has gone, or how the last 2 weeks have gone since the new moon, and perhaps the last 6 months or so since we had the new moon in Sagittarius towards the end of last year. Full moons bring a sense of completion. There's a culmination point. Maybe the peak of activity is reached in a project, and it won't be that everything is finished, but it will be that culmination point, and after that it might be just the tying off the loose ends and finishing up. Full moons also, everyone knows, bring that heightened energy and emotion, and this reveals things. The light of the moon shows things up, and the emotions bring things up. And we also need to integrate the opposites, because we have the sun opposite the moon. That shows up things that we need to integrate. So we have the sun in the sign of Gemini, and we haven't talked about Gemini yet because we haven't had the new moon in Gemini yet, so that will be with the next video. Gemini is about neighborhoods. It's about what is nearby, your neighbors, your siblings, your brothers and sisters, the community that's around you. Sagittarius is big and distant. It's what's far away. It's a distant horizons. So small and close versus big and far away with Sagittarius and Gemini. Both of them are very much involved with learning. Gemini is more about your small local learning, and Sagittarius is about the higher learning, more like the university level, or going into deep, big concepts that can cover big belief systems. Let's look at the other energies going on with this full moon. I'm going to talk about Mercury conjunct Uranus at the time of the full moon, or just about, Venus entering Leo and some other Venus matters, and Pluto moving back into Capricorn. That is coming up after the full moon. Mercury conjunct Uranus, that will happen the day after the full moon, so on that Monday public holiday. Mercury and Uranus both have to do with thinking. Mercury is the main planet of thinking. It's about our thought processes, our decision making, and also our communication. Uranus is about innovative thinking, unusual ideas, often ideas that are very humanitarian or will solve problems for large groups of people. So quite a focus on the larger social groups, whereas Mercury is more about the here and now, ordinary daily life kind of thinking. So on the 5th of June, we might have some brilliant ideas that are new, unusual, innovative, and look out for that when that happens on that day. If you get any thoughts, or you're talking to somebody and some interesting idea comes up, take notice. It could be a brilliant spark of inspiration that could help you. And we have Venus entering Leo on the 6th of June. For a few days or so, Venus is going to reactivate the fixed grand cross that we have been going through some tough energy with. I spoke about this in my last video when we had Mars opposite Pluto, square to Jupiter, and the lunar nodes. And now Venus, following behind Mars, is activating that again. It will be opposite Pluto, square to Jupiter, and the nodal axis, which is the eclipse point. I've noticed a lot of people having some troubled times over the last week. I mean, there's lots of that in life anyway, but yeah, a few things came to a head over the last week. I think Venus will be a little bit softer, but it is still there. But after that, we'll be moving out of it. Venus will actually be in Leo for a really long time this year, much longer than usual. Usually it's only about a month or a few weeks. And that is because Venus is going to go into retrograde in Leo. And that's from 23rd of July till the 4th of September, 40 days, 40 nights. Venus will appear to move backwards in the sky. At the moment, we can see Venus as an evening star, very bright in the sky in the evenings. After the retrograde, Venus will be reborn as a morning star, which is a pretty cool thing. But that Venus retrograde will be interesting, and I will talk about it at the time. And we have Pluto, a very exciting planet for this year because it moved into Aquarius for the first time in a couple of 100 years, now moving back into Capricorn. And it's been in Capricorn since 2008, and we just had those couple of months since March with it in Aquarius. It is now about to retrograde back into Capricorn, and we're likely to see over the next few months till towards the end of the year a reactivation of some of those Capricornian themes. Top-down structures, hierarchies, focus on government, focus on rules, centralization of power. I think some of those themes that have been playing out in the last while, there'll be a reprise of those. A month or so ago, I did a video about New Zealand and the Pluto generations in our country, and in that video I cover some of the themes of Pluto in Capricorn and Pluto in Aquarius. So you might like to go back and look at that video because it's a really big time to have this change. It's a generational change with Pluto gradually moving into Aquarius, which it will do properly over the next couple of years. And finally, we have winter solstice approaching us on the 21st of June. That will actually be just after the next new moon. So we are really finishing off things for the year now. And after that in July, we'll be celebrating Matariki, and of course there are celebrations going on for Puanga as well. Those markers of the Māori New Year, and that can apply to all of us because this is the change of the year. The solar year is turning. So coming now down to the end and bringing our energy down and thinking about what we need to let go of, what we need to say goodbye to, what is past, and giving thanks for all the good things that this year has brought us. Things to think about this full moon. You can use these ideas as questions to ponder as you go about your days, or as meditation prompts or journaling prompts. But these are questions to do with Sagittarius and the energies going on. With the full moon culmination energy and the focus on Sagittarius, think about what adventures have you enjoyed over the last 2 weeks, but also the last 6 months or even longer. Have you been adventurous enough? What have you been exploring? What have you discovered? And this can be physical adventures as in geographical, like you're traveling. And it also can be the adventures of the mind where you are exploring big ideas and belief systems, the meaning of life. Thinking back to that last 6 months or so, have you been lucky enough to have connections with other cultures through your learning, through study, or through actually meeting people from different cultures or traveling? Is there enough of that in your life? The full moon is a good time to review and give thanks. How has your understanding of truth, justice, and morality developed over the last 2 weeks, 6 months, or last year and a half or so? Have you changed your belief systems? we've had a lot of changes in our world over the last few years, and I think a few of us have had our belief systems thrown up in the air and landed in a different way. I personally feel like I've still not sorted out with quite where I am, and I think this Sagittarius full moon is a good time for us to review where we are at with our belief system. Our belief systems are important because they drive our purpose in life and give us the feeling of right meaning in the work that we do and all the activities that we do, our relationships. We want to know that we're on the right track and we've got goodness and truth in what we're doing. And finally, the day after the full moon has a conjunction with Mercury and Uranus. Take note of any unusual, interesting, unconventional, innovative ideas that might come up in your thinking or in conversation. There could be a real gem in there. It's something that you might want to action. We still have that energy of that grand fixed cross that I talked about in my last video, with Venus there opposite Pluto, square to Jupiter and the node. So we still might have some hard moments and some things coming out. It will pass, and hopefully we can grow from it and get some things sorted, and we can move on with more clarity in the future. For now, that is my video about the full moon in Sagittarius. I wish you adventure, I wish you optimism, and I wish you sparky, fiery joy with the Sagittarius energy. Hei kona rā, ka kite, goodbye for now, everybody.